I am here with Pastor Jim Garlow, and you're with Skyline Church. You define marriage.
One man, one woman, as ordained by God for the last 5,000 years.
And you're obviously a Yes on Prop 8 supporter.
That's
and
accurate.
You've set up sort of an ABCs of the issue, and I was wondering if you would explain that concept to me.
ABC is just to help people understand what the key points are, and it makes an easy memory device. The A stands for activist judges have taken away the will of the people. 61% of the people said yes. 4 San Francisco judges said no. And so we have, in effect, a judicial oligarchy that has really robbed the people of the democracy we've enjoyed. That's not only true in just California. That's a national crisis where the executive and legislative branch have been largely robbed and neutered of what they were supposed to do. Letter B stands for benefits. Homosexual couples get all the benefits the state can possibly give, and Proposition 8 doesn't take away any of that. But demanding to use the word marriage is going way too far. Letter C is children. Education Code 51890 and 51933. California education codes clearly indicate a teacher can and will teach from kindergarten on the definition of marriage and address sexual orientation things. We think that this is left up to the parents, should be left up to the parents. And the only historical models where we have in the country where there's long-term same-sex marriage legal, the state of Massachusetts, in that state they have crushed underfoot parental rights, blatantly, intentionally. And simply saying is you deliver your child to the school, the parents have no rights at that point. Dave and Tanya Parker have gone through a series of trials. Rob and Robin Worthland have been tried also in that state, and they want their kindergartners or their second graders not to be taught about homosexuality. They want to be taught at home. But when same-sex marriage is legal, as they have said, the authorities said, it's our job to teach it. We will teach it. You as parents have no right, and you have no right to speak against it. So what if you do, it's called hate speech. D is dads and moms, and that's every child, every boy and every girl deserves a daddy and a mommy. Even some of the liberal people on the opposite side of me on a lot of issues concede this point, that the man who contributes the sperm and the woman who contributes the egg, they're the ones who ought to raise that biological child. And there's a reason why society functions the way it does, is because natural law indicates that's how children come about. Letter E, everywhere, in every single culture, whether it's a Christian culture, a pre-Christian culture, post-Christian, anti-Christian, non-Christian, post-Christian culture, every culture, anthropologically speaking, there is one building block to humanity, and that is one man, one woman marriage. There's no culture anywhere on the earth that has sanctioned same-sex marriage as a building block of society. Individual families may not have to have children, but society does need children, and that comes when a man and a woman come together. The larger issue for me is freedoms. F stands for the letter word freedom. The crushing of religious freedoms when same-sex marriage is legal. Ake Green, the Swedish pastor who was sentenced to 1 month in jail, 1 month in prison for simply preaching on homosexuality. Steve Boisson, I just got an email from him in Canada, a man who's been put through hell in court trials. And all he did was write to an editor. He was a religious leader, wrote to the editor of a newspaper saying the practice of homosexuality was not a good thing. It can be self-destructive, and has been put through all kinds of harassment over that and fines and such. We find in Ocean Grove, New Jersey, for example, where they decided not, on that church property, the Ocean Grove Camp Meeting Association decided not to perform a civil union of lesbians. The state of New Jersey stepped in and ripped them of a part of the tax exemption on their property. Or Elaine Huguenin, a photographer in Albuquerque, New Mexico, just 25 years of age. And she said, I'll gladly take pictures of you as lesbians, but I will not take a picture of your lesbian celebration ceremony. I cannot for religious convictions. And they promptly fined her $6,700. It's under appeal right now. Or the 4 firefighters in San Diego that were forced against their will to march at a gay pride parade, sexually harassed during that. Or the 2 doctors that were, they have a policy, they're Christian doctors, they have a policy they do not artificially inseminate women who are not married. And they operated that policy for years. And he said, we'll assist you in finding somebody who will. But that wasn't good enough. The lady happened to be lesbian, and so she took him to court, and they lost to California Supreme Court eventually, ripping away their rights, that a professional does not have the right to refuse services if it runs counter to their biblical conventions. So that is exactly what is happening across our state and really around the world. There's an attempt to get a law in Brazil to throw pastors in prison for 5 years if they speak out against homosexuality. This is a pandemic problem. It's a ripping away of First Amendment and freedom of speech rights in this country, and well beyond, documentable by a staggering number of cases that are cropping up. I parked there for a while because the no on 8 side, absolutely in complete denial. They know these cases are taking place. They're doing them with intentionality. And the top 8 homosexual organizations, along with the ACLU, have signed what they call a joint agreement. They posted on their website saying they will not sue anybody effectively until after the election. After the election, it's all hell breaks loose with lawsuits. They don't want to disrupt the voters, to make the voters aware of how insidious these kind of laws are that cram same-sex marriage policies down the throats of all of us. They don't just change the definition of marriage for them. They change it for all of us. If you speak out against it, then you are automatically a hate monger or a bigot, and all kinds of names we are called just for believing what has been practiced for 5,000 years, marriage one man, one woman. The next letter is G, as in simply God said it, and that's the way the Bible says it. For those of us who care about the Bible begins with a marriage, Adam and Eve, and it closes with a wedding of the picture of a male, a bride and a groom. And even when Jesus spoke out on it, he spoke out, quoting Genesis, he says, "You're made male and female, and for that reason," this is Matthew 19:5, "for that reason, a man will leave his parents, and he'll cleave to his wife, and they'll become one flesh." That's the theological underpinnings of it. Nowhere in the Bible, contrary to what the no on yes people try to say, does it condone same-sex activity. They have to do all kinds of casuistry and rationalization to twist Scripture. Historic Orthodox Christianity for 2,000 years has affirmed marriage between one man, one woman. The issue of homosexual lifestyle is H. There are tens of thousands of homosexuals across America that have been set free from that lifestyle. Exodus International and many organizations participate in assisting people who desire that. And so people who say they're born that way are not being true to social science. There's no social science that's credible that says there's a gay gene or somebody's born that way. The causative factors are not fully known, and they're quite complex, but no indications that somebody is, quote, born homosexual. Letter I stands for I've got to be involved, and we're trying to activate everybody to do so. And in letter J is that the ultimate issue for us, people like me, is not marriage. The ultimate issue is Jesus. And Jesus is Lord and King. And marriage, we don't make an idol out of marriage. Jesus is Lord and King, and that's what motivates us to do what we do. So that's the alphabet, A through J. We don't go all the way to Z, and aren't you glad? There's 36 million people in the state. There's 22 that are eligible to vote, 22 million that are eligible to vote. There's 16 million that are registered to vote. And there's probably 12 million that will vote, approximately. It'll be an unusually high year, we think, in voting. So we want around 7 million votes. And so our team, through the Schubert Flint Agency, has been raised up. ProtectMarriage.com has raised up probably well in excess of 40-some thousand people who've knocked on doors weekends. And the result is they covered about 8 million of the 16 million doors, and then they've phoned another 25% of those, around 4 million. Didn't get quite their last 25% done, but we're still attempting to do as many as we can in the next 13 days, and trying to raise up 100,000 people then to work at the 20,000, actually about 21,000 precincts across California on Election Day. There are tens of thousands of Californians that are on a prayer and fasting season, a 40-day fast. Fasting means for most of us not eating any solid food, liquids only, during the 40 days. And so there are many that are doing that. Some are fasting other things. Some may be fasting sweets. Or some women are fasting shopping, I know. There's somebody not doing it. My son, my teenage son, is fasting watching a Walker Texas Ranger, his favorite TV show. So people fast what they want, but they pray during that time. So aggressive praying during this time. Because we're wanting more than win an election. We want to see the hearts of Californians turn towards God, towards right, towards truth, towards righteousness, towards justice, towards authenticity.